Let's watch the strange case of Andrew Callahan. Oh, you meant it's the only difference. I thought you meant the only similarity. Okay. Backwards.
Moscow, Idaho. A small city with a population of a little over 26,000 people. At the center of it, the University of Idaho. A bustling campus full of bright minds and infinite potential. The sort of place that should be the start of a young person's life, not the end of it. This is the last known photo taken of 4 University of Idaho students.
Oh no! Oh no. My wife was following this case when it happened. I actually don't know much about this case, but my wife was like deep into this case whenever it was happening.
Loaded to Instagram just hours before their lives were taken at their off-campus accommodation. Madison Mogan and Zana Knodel were co-workers at Main Street's Mad Greek restaurant. As well as working together, the pair also lived together at 1122 King Road, a 6-bedroom, 3-story rental property situated on a quiet residential street. Also living in the house were their 2 friends, who, for the sake of their privacy, I'll be referring to as D and B. Madison's lifelong best friend, Kaylee Gonsalves, had been living at the house with the other 4 girls and had only recently moved out. She was preparing
the guy that
to
everyone
embark on a
suspects
backpacking
looks
trip
like
across Europe
Ted Bundy
before beginning her new job in Austin, but had made time to see Maddie for one last goodbye.
Wasn't this the one where the TikTok lady tried to say her tarot told her it was a professor that killed them? I think I remember something like that.
Captured in this photo. Sana's boyfriend, Ethan Chapin, had also become close with his partner's housemates and often stayed over. Sana and Ethan were described as 2 goofy peas in a pod. She a talented gymnast, and he a tulip farmer. They were a light-hearted.
A tulip farmer? That is such a specific, like, thing. A tulip farmer. Interesting.
Kind-hearted, positive group of friends, full of warmth and life. But their bright futures were cruelly snatched away from them one fateful winter's night in 2022. This is the timeline of that night, and a breakdown of the investigation so far. Between making videos, managing projects, and trying to find some semblance of work-life commitments or contracts.
Stamps.com/lazymasquerader. Click the link below. Sign up for a 4-week trial. Free postage, digital scale.
Just go to stamps.com/lazymasquerade. November 12th, 2022 was a Saturday. That evening, the students pictured here went off in separate groups to enjoy a night of drinks and laughter. Kelly and Madison went into the city centre, and Sana and Ethan to an organised event. Here's how their night unfolded.
Yeah, for some reason when he went to trial, everyone thought he looked like Ted Bundy, and the weird thing is some females actually thought he's innocent because he looks like a charming dude. Oh, one of those things? Oh my god. I actually don't think that's this case, because I remember a case like that where people were like oogling over the dude because he was attractive or something like that. You know what? Was that the case where the dude like ate someone, like started eating someone's flesh while he was killing him or something like that? The dude who went insane? I don't know. There's so many that...
At 8:57 p.m, Kaylee posted this photo, taken earlier that day, to her Instagram page, with the accompanying caption, "One lucky girl to be surrounded by these people every day." At 10 p.m. that night, Kaylee and Madison were seen at the Corner Club, a downtown sports bar. There, they spent several hours drinking and chatting. Meanwhile, Sana Knodel and her boyfriend, Ethan Chapin, were seen at an on-campus party taking place at the Sigma Chi fraternity, approximately a 5-minute walk from 1122 King Road. At 1:30 a.m. on the 13th, Kaylee and Madison left the Corner Club and were caught on CCTV making their way south with a man who isn't a suspect in the case. The next available images of the two were captured at 1:41 by the Grub Truck, a food truck which was operating on Friendship Square and whose owner happened to be live streaming on Twitch.
Hello? Oh, he's playing a song I hate. Oh, okay. The carbonara.
But if I had like a free on my like app?
Oh, yep. So what you want to do is we'll actually do this. There you go.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
How many more do you need? That's the second one? Awesome.
At the same time Kaylee and Madison placed their food order, Sana and Ethan left the party at Sigma Chi and made their way back to 1122 King Road. At 1:51 AM, Kaylee and Madison hopped into a taxi, and 6 minutes later, arrived back home. Sana and Ethan were already inside, along with D and B. From this point, the house fell relatively quiet. Kaylee and Madison were hanging out on the 3rd floor, Sana and Ethan in Sana's 2nd floor bedroom, D on the 2nd floor, and B on the 1st floor. Between 2:26 and 2:52 AM, Kaylee and Madison made 10 calls to Kaylee's former long-term boyfriend. None of them were answered. At 2:53 AM, a white sedan is seen driving along the highway from Pullman towards Moscow.
I know this case. Yeah, it
roughly
was a
an
pretty
8-mile
popular
journey.
case. I just didn't know about.
At 3:29
I didn't.
AM.
Whenever it was happening, I didn't like keep up on the whole thing because I was busy. But now I'm kind of interested.
CCTV footage caught that same white sedan passing by 1122 King Road, where Kaylee, Madison, Sana, and Ethan were relaxing. By 3:59 AM, that car had been captured driving by the house 2 more times. At 4 AM, phone records showed that Sana received a DoorDash delivery. According to the driver, he left the order at the front door. At 4:04 AM, the white sedan was seen passing by the residence for a 4th time. It attempted to park outside before leaving and immediately returning again.
Ugh. Amazing how they piece all these videos together. Well, to be fair, this case has been very, very well documented. There's so much shit on this case because it was like, you know, it was in 2022. It was like a huge deal back when it happened. I just didn't know much about it.
Dee was awoken by what she thought was the sound of Kaylee playing with her dog upstairs. She opened her bedroom door and toned her ears and believed she heard either Kaylee or Zana say, "There's someone here." Dee then closed her door and returned to bed. A forensic download of Zana's phone showed that she was awake and scrolling through TikTok at 4:12 AM. Dee says that she opened her door a second time
sounds like Amy.
at 4:13 AM.
Chat, you know what's funny sometimes is like I wake up the next morning and then the way I'm able to tell if my wife went to sleep like at a normal time or not is if I have Instagram notifications, because I looked at my phone. It's like, why do I have so many Instagram notices? I have like 20 memes sent to me at 4 in the morning. It's like, oh, okay, she stayed up all night. Okay.
And heard what she thought was crying coming from Zana's bedroom across the hallway, followed by a male voice saying, "It's okay, I'm gonna help you." At 4:17 AM, a Ring doorbell camera on a neighbor's house located less than 50 feet from Zana's bedroom captured the distorted sound of voices, a whimper, and a loud thud. 1 minute later, at 4:18, Dee opened her bedroom door for a 3rd and final time. This time, she didn't hear anything, but rather saw a man dressed in black with a mask covering his mouth and nose, walking quickly towards her. This figure walked right past Dee, entered the kitchen, and exited the house via the sliding glass door. It's unclear whether this figure didn't see Dee or simply chose to ignore her. Regardless, Dee was left frozen in fear. She locked her bedroom door, and in a state of dissociative shock.
Yo! What up? What up, Danger Drums? Thank you so much for the raid. We're watching depressing, horrible murder stuff. Don't you guys love that? You guys like depressing murder? Well, that's what we're watching. Welcome to depression.
Opted not to call the police.
It's
At 4:20
the case about the Idaho student murders back in 2022.
a.m., nearby cameras caught images of the white sedan speeding away from the scene. Neither D nor B heard anything to suggest that something terrible may have happened to Zana, Ethan, Kaylee, or Madison. Almost 8 hours later, at 11:58
Why are these so addicting to watch?
the
I know,
authorities were
right?
summoned to 1122 King Road after a caller reported unconscious people at
And
the
my
property.
chat always wants more and more brutal stuff. And then when I get too brutal, they're like, why did you show me that? Now my day's ruined. And I'm like, shut up. All right? You asked for this. Remember, guys? You guys always ask for more. And then when I give you more, you cry.
Ethan's best friend had come over to the home and found the 4 students.
We can't pick a lane? No, you can't.
Responders arrived to find the property's front door wide open, with no signs of a forced entry. Inside the residence were D, who was paralyzed with fear, B, who had slept through the entire ordeal,
A
and
healthy
several other
splatter of
friends
blood,
whom they had
not a
since
bucket?
called for assistance. The bodies of best friends, Kaylee and Maddie, were discovered in a bedroom on the 3rd floor, and Zana and Ethan on the floor below. They'd all sustained multiple puncture wounds made using a Kabar knife and red arterial spray.
I remember because, okay, like, the thing I don't get is, like, so all of these people got murdered, but, like, the friend who saw the murderer just walk outside, like, I don't get how she didn't, like, hear anything or call anybody or expect anything happening. You know what I mean? Inside job? I don't know. I feel like that's
covered
weird,
the walls
but
of both bedrooms.
I don't know.
None of them had been bound, gagged, or restrained in any way. And yet, none of them had screamed. Despite the mutterings Dee had heard, investigators believe that all 4 victims must have been asleep before they were attacked. Experts determined that their lives had been ended at some point between 4 and 4:25 a.m.
Unless this killer just had the perfect blow every time and just like instantly killed him without a gun, like in one shot without waking him up. I mean, I guess technically if they're asleep.
Even if help had been summoned immediately after
I think it's wild that he didn't see the friend. Yeah, that's another thing that's weird. They came home late. She only thought innocent things were going on. Ah, okay.
attacks took place, professionals are confident that none of them could have been saved. While examining the scene, the forensic team discovered a vital piece of evidence. The sheath of the blade used to end the 4 victims' lives. A sheath that the perpetrator had forgotten to attach to their belt.
From what I watched, she said she heard crying and a guy voice saying, "It'll be okay." Then she said she saw bushy eyebrows on the guy. Yeah, that part he said earlier. I don't know. That's weird. It is also weird that, like, if they heard crying, like, no one screamed. It's such a weird, bizarre situation.
Found face down, partially under both Madison's body and the comforter on her bed. Crucially, a DNA sample was found on its clasp, one belonging to a single male source. Investigators collected what they called a video canvas, made up of CCTV and home surveillance footage from around the area, and concluded that they were looking for a 2011
I'm hoping
to
they're able to
2013
solve this case
Hyundai
soon.
Elantra. Though they initially believed the attack
Has it
was
gone
a
to trial
crime
yet?
of passion, 3 days after the slayings, Moscow Police Chief James Fry announced, "We cannot say that there is no threat to the community." Dee would describe the intruder she saw that night as a man
If the knife is used in the right way, they can't yell. But yeah, she heard crying, though.
standing around 5 feet and 10 inches.
It should be
Not
soon.
very muscular, but athletically built, with
Maybe
bushy
he's
eyebrows.
making the video because it's soon.
On November 30th, Moscow police issued a list of individuals that they believed were not connected to the crime.
It's gonna be a while, really?
That list included D and B, a man seen on the grub truck surveillance video, the taxi driver who took Kaylee and Madison home, the man Kaylee and Madison called repeatedly on the night they were killed, and everyone present at the property when the 911 call was placed. While examining their surveillance canvas, detectives made a huge discovery. They realized that the white sedan had traveled to Moscow from the neighboring city of Pullman. After tracing the owners of every similar car in the area, one man came onto their radar. This is the authorities' one and only suspect.
God, he already
28-year-old
looks creepy.
criminology PhD student and former teaching assistant, Brian Koberger, a man studying at Washington
It was a teacher?
State University in Pullman.
Or teacher's assistant?
Before we continue, it's important to note that Brian is yet to stand trial and is presumed to be innocent until proven guilty. That being said, here are the facts as released by the authorities. Not only did Brian match the description of the perpetrator given by D, not only did he drive the same make
For Moscow, trial is set for early 2025. They caught the guy and he's jailed already? Okay.
and model car as seen passing 1120
He looks like Andrew Callahan, like straight up. Dude, that's what I'm saying. Like this picture, legit, like this one is like scary looks like him. Like it looks exactly like him.
That being said, here are the facts as released by the authorities. Not only did Brian match the description of the perpetrator given by D, not only did he drive the same make and model car as seen passing 1122 King Road, and not only did he suspiciously receive new license plates 5 days
On
after the
Crime
incident,
Network streamed the
but his
hearing 3
movements
weeks ago?
also lined
Okay.
up with those of the killer. At 2:47 a.m. on November 13th, a cell phone belonging to Brian Koberger stopped connecting to the network in Pullman. At that same time, the white sedan was seen making the 8-mile journey towards Moscow. Around that time, Brian's phone disconnected from all networks, suggesting he turned it off. At 5:25, around an hour after the slayings had taken place, Brian's phone reconnected to the network in Pullman. A more in-depth examination of his phone turned up something sinister. His device had pinged off a cell tower near the murder scene at around 9 a.m. on November 13th, roughly 5 hours after the slayings. It's speculated that he may have realized he left his sheath behind at the scene and had returned to retrieve it. His phone had also pinged from the same tower at least 12 times between June and
The fuck
November
was that?
2022. According to a probable cause affidavit released in January 2023, all of these occasions occurred in the late evening and early morning hours of their respective days. Still, his movements could have been circumstantial. He did live relatively close to the victims after all, albeit in the next town over.
His eyes show his crazy, not gonna lie. Yeah, he definitely got the crazy eyes.
One way
100%.
investigators could confirm whether Brian was involved would be to link him to the DNA found on the sheath. A public genealogy database helped authorities identify a partial DNA match, suggesting a familial connection to Brian Koberger, but they wanted more confirmation. On December 15th, Brian and his father were on their way to Pennsylvania to spend the holidays. During their journey, they were stopped twice by officers.
I wonder why they demolished the building where it happened. Did they really? I don't know. I guess just because of how horrible the situation is.
Ostensibly for following a vehicle.
Like no one would want to live there anywhere
Too
like
closely.
anymore, you know?
According to The Independent, however, those stops had actually been requested by the FBI, who were seeking images of the suspect's hands. It's not yet clear why the images of Brian's hands were so important to the investigation, or if the officers managed to obtain anything of interest by carrying out the stops. But regardless, Brian and his father were allowed to continue with their journey, none the wiser.
Okay.
Covertly, officers took DNA samples from trash outside Brian's family home in Pennsylvania, where he was spending the holidays, and found them to be consistent with the DNA found on the sheath in Madison's room. Still under observation, Brian was seen outside his parents' home, wearing surgical gloves, disposing of trash bags in a neighbor's garbage can at 4 a.m. The authorities also noted
They
that
donated the house to the college and they wanted it gone because of all the people coming to see it. They took it down before they collected all the evidence, I believe. Okay, that's really weird.
Brian had meticulously cleaned his car, both inside and out. On December 30th, Brian Koberger was arrested at his family's property. Now in custody, the police took a buccal swab to directly compare Brian's DNA with that found on the sheath. The test determined that the DNA was 5.37 octillion times
The university wants to forget it, seems like, which is weird. Yeah, don't they normally like memorialize shit like that? Like any like tragic event, like they make like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like normally like do memorials and shit, or like have their names on something or something like that. They covering for him potentially.
more likely to be Brian's than a randomly selected individual from the general population.
Yeah, an art piece or something.
During a search of the home,
A bench.
authorities found a blade, a pistol, and a black face mask, along with ID cards concealed inside a glove within a box. It's not yet been revealed who those ID cards belong to.
I mean, I think we could figure
Numerous
that one
objects
out.
were also seized from the property, including a pillow with a reddish-brown stain and a collection of dark red spots. Curiously, it's since come to light that Brian followed all 3 of the female victims on Instagram and had allegedly tried to contact one of them repeatedly on the app 2 weeks before the killings, persistently asking, "Hey, how are you doing?" Since none of the girls followed him back, it's possible they hadn't even
You ignored me? You left me on red? Now you gotta die! What is
noticed
that?
his messages. Former
Bro kills people because he got left on red? Really? Incel vibes? Well, yeah.
employees of the Mad Greek restaurant where Zana and Maddie worked have also testified that Brian visited their store in the lead up to the slayings, though said he hadn't acted suspiciously at the time. It's unclear whether or not Brian interacted with either Zana or Maddie, or even if he had met any of the decedents. Why he chose to target their home and them specifically, if indeed he did, also remains unclear. It's worth noting, however, that shortly before the incident occurred, Brian was carrying out a research project to understand how emotions and psychological traits influence decision-making when committing a crime. This included asking ex-cons on Reddit how they felt before, during, and after committing atrocities. Whether this research was
Bro was seeing if he could psychologically handle killing a bunch of people.
curricular or extracurricular remains unknown, but some web sleuths
He
believe that
really
Brian
went on
may have
Reddit.
taken this assignment very seriously.
Wow.
When asked how he pled in court, Brian remained stone-faced and silent. The presiding judge entered a not guilty plea for each charge on his behalf.
Of course he did.
As it stands, Brian Kohberger maintains his innocence, claiming he was just out on a late-night drive on November 13th, hiking, running, and stargazing. Mr. Kohberger has long had a habit of going for drives alone, his lawyers have stated. Often he would go for drives at night. He did so late on November 12th and into November 13th, 2022. Our client is not claiming to be at a specific location at a specific time. Despite that claim though, there is a mountain of evidence stacked against him, not least the DNA samples, surveillance footage, and cell tower data. And that's just the evidence that's been made public. That's to say, if Brian is innocent, he's the unluckiest.
Dude, I could totally see how a bunch of fucking weirdos, thank you so much, Morgan, for the 3 months. I could see how a bunch of weirdos are like, you know, like the people who love serial killers are probably like, oh my God, he's so cute. Oh my God, he's so innocent because he's cute. What are they called? There's a word for those people, right? He got those dead eyes. Yeah, he looks fucking he looks terrifying.
Man in the world. Brian has since waived his right to a speedy trial.
Yeah, Hebristophiliacs. Yeah.
As such, his trial date has.
They demolished the building because people weren't being respectful of the events that occurred. It's not that they want to forget it. They just wanted the family to be able to have some peace. What were they doing? Like shitting on the building? Like what were they doing?
Has yet to be said. Due to a gag order, at present, only a limited amount of information has been released to the public. This order's been put in place to protect Mr. Kohberger's right to a fair trial, though in his attorney's opinion, finding a fair and unbiased jury is going to be impossible. At time of publishing, he's requesting a change in venue, citing the, quote, extensive inflammatory pretrial publicity, allegations made about Mr. Kohberger to the public by the media that will be inadmissible at his trial, the small size of the community, the salacious nature of the alleged crimes, and the severity of the charges. As a result of the gag order and the case's ongoing status, many questions are yet to be publicly answered. What was the killer's motive? Were all 4 students the intended targets, or were some of them collateral damage? What about D&B? Why were they left unharmed?
That's what I want to know, bro. There's some weird shit going on here.
No doubt all of that will come to light in due course, and for the sake of the families of all involved, I hope that's sooner rather than later. Until then, we'd all do well to remember what the world lost that cold November's night. 2 best friends.
People were posting pics and vids pretending to be murdered. Vandalism about how the girls deserved it? What the fuck? Okay, yeah, that's fucked up. What the hell? I want to know how he did it so fast. It took him such a short amount of time, reportedly. Dude, not only that, but I'm still blown away how D and B or whoever the girls are, like, didn't hear a thing and like didn't report on it. They didn't even report on it till the next day, right? I don't know. Something sussy's going on there. I don't know. There's some layers. There's some layers that need to be peeled back for that case. That's a very weird case.
Now it's time to walk away. I hope you enjoyed your stay. Did you laugh or cry or maybe subscribed? I'll thank you either way. You know I will miss you. I hope you return. Tell your friend or your mother to get me more views, please.